If you haven't seen the previous video in this series, follow the link on your screen or click the link in the description or pinned comment below.
But even now, what's about to happen? This is me being reasonable.
"34 seconds of logo."
I'm curious, what is an acceptable length for logos? I mean, you send films for 50 seconds of logos and even films for 20 seconds. This is a Marvel film. They all have the new Flipbook S logo now, and sending them for one of their calling cards is kinda cheap, wouldn't you say? This also implies that you're going to send the Wakanda Forever logo, and when you do, just expect 500 sins.
"Behold, American viewing public, this star on the back of America's jacket," which is something I'm supposed to be excited about. But the fact that I'm not just makes me feel like I've been thrown into an exam I haven't studied for, in a class I didn't know I was taking, a school I didn't realize I was attending.
What the f was all of that? The star on America's back is a part of her costume and ability, and the portals she creates are star-shaped. You keep forgetting that the MCU as a series does a lot of things for those that are fans of the comics, and in this case, the film zoomed in on the star for fans of the character. This does double duty by informing the less informed audience members that stars are an important motif for this character.
It's too strong. I can't hold it.
Well then, instead of f***ing watching it for the rest of your life, why don't you try doing whatever it is you came here to... Wait, why are we here? I'm assuming it has more function than just defending my eyes with an amethyst CGI soup.
But that was a question. If I'm not mistaken, your series is called Everything Wrong With, meaning you are going to tell us what is wrong with this film. So how is asking a question you explaining to us what's wrong with this particular scene? Not to mention, it was a dumb question in the first place. They already explained why they were here, to acquire the Book of Vishanti.
Oh sure, you can suck out the multidimensional powers of this girl with your right hand while trying to keep a barrier around the demon with your left hand. But for some reason, you can't just use that right hand to strengthen the barrier or throw lollipops at it or whatever it is you dirty sorcerers do with that right hand.
You're completely misunderstanding the scene. First of all, this is obviously a one-handed spell. Two hands aren't going to make the barrier stronger. I'm sure he would have done that if it would have, Jeremy. Also, Earth 617 Strange states that this was the only way to prevent Wanda from acquiring America's powers, meaning that creature is not going to stop until it kills her, and implies Strange can't stop it.
Steven turns his head to his left, and the next shot is him looking at his watch, despite it being on the table to his right. So either someone in charge of continuity f***ed this up, or we missed an epic double take that would have snapped Strange's neck.
I think this was done purposefully to preserve continuity, as they wanted Strange's face to be in the same position it would be on the face of the watch when the scene cut. Since that isn't how reflections work, they simply flipped it. I don't know if I'd call that a continuity error or a CinemaSin, but I won't sin you for now, as I can't prove that's what happened. It just makes logical sense.
You guys might be upset that Christine isn't marrying Steven in this scene, but I'm more upset that we never got a scene with her, Tony Stark, and Strange, so we could make that long-awaited Sherlock Artois joke that I've been holding on to for 6 years.
Yes, but I already made that joke 4 years ago in the Infinity War parody video.
I'm Dr. Stephen Strange.
And who's we?
You are both Sherlock.
I'm going to allow that.
Robert Downey Jr. when it was announced that Benadryl Cucumber was going to take over as Sherlock Holmes. Wouldn't be the first time you tried to copy me and that video.
You mocking me? Are you mocking me? Stop it, you just didn't do it again. He's trying to copy me.
Remember the days when we would use mobile phones to call emergency services instead of just using them to record people in trouble? Good times.
I get the sentiment, but recording an event is just as important as reporting that event. Hell, you want all 100 of these people calling emergency services at the same time? I want the alien on YouTube.
What the actual flying is Strange doing here? He sees this car hurtling towards a mother and child, and he thinks his best option is to summon a giant Zool head in the hope that it'll eat the car and fly away instead of eating the car and the mother and child he's trying to save?
Jeremy is saying this as if Strange doesn't have control over the creature he just summoned. To rebut this nonsense, I ask you, why would a randomly summoned cat eat a car if not under the control of Strange? Does that make sense to anyone?
Again, why the is Strange picking the most complicated ways to deal with these obstacles? What's stopping him from sling ringing that into the Antarctic.
The rule of cool? Not thinking of that possibility at this particular time? Wanting to keep the damage contained to this area?
Look at the carnage he's creating behind him. We're only 9 minutes in, and we're already wading dangerously close to Green Lantern summoning a machine gun levels of dumbassery.
I'll let the DC fanboys have your corpse for shitting on Green Lantern's imagination.
Looks like Miss America went to the Prometheus school of running away from Suicide Squad ripoffs.
Couple things here. First, Shuma Gorath and Starro are nothing alike outside of having a giant eyeball. And pipe down, Stanleys, this is Shuma Gorath. Calling this mofo Gargantos is as stupid as calling Black Dwarf Cull Obsidian. I'm still not over that. Cull Obsidian is the name of the fucking group. You might as well call Captain America the Avengers. The logic is exactly the same. Marvel just cannot legally use the name Shuma Gorath, so they made a concession, but this character is Shuma Gorath. Second, calling this an instance of the Prometheus School of blah 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 is inherently flawed, considering Shuma Gorath is a sentient being, meaning if she turns, it turns. That cliche is based on running away in a straight line from a falling inanimate object that cannot turn if you run perpendicular. You're literally saying this creature that can see and think will be foiled by her running to the left. Are you seriously this dumb?
Sure, it looks badass, but why are the squishy sorcerers engaging in hand-to-tentacle combat? Keep your distance, do some spells and shit.
He says over a scene of Wong using a magical whip.
I was this person trying to drive his motorcycle through here when there is a tentacled Cyclops monster in the middle of the street. Doctor Strange's cloak is smarter than this, right? Instead of whisking America away out of sight, it's just flying straight up in the air so a monster can throw a motorcycle at it.
10 years doing this, and the sins are just getting dumber. This is functionally a rehash of the Prometheus sin 2 sins ago. He's treating this monster as something that cannot observe when someone is running away from it. Whisk her away where? You mean like what it's trying to do right now?
I can't put my finger on it, but the Doc Octopus fight is so reminiscent of Spider-Man 2. I just can't figure out what connects these two movies.
So he's pointing out that Sam Raimi was the director. How is this a sin, though? I mean, being compared to Spider-Man 2 should be an honor, right?
It took me less than 5 minutes of playing Portal to realize how momentum works, so I can confidently say this is a dumbass way to save yourself, Wong. What he should have done is make the exit portal fire him up so that gravity can slow his second descent back to Earth and then rinse and repeat until a safe landing. Why would you choose to fire yourself into a f***ing car?
That would be an incredibly convoluted way of doing what he already did. Wong was totally fine after creating his portal. What you're suggesting would require pinpoint reflexes and on-the-spot math while he was falling face-first into asphalt. I guarantee you wouldn't be able to pull that off in Portal on the first try, and unlike Portal, Wong doesn't get to hit the reset button.
Most recently, there was an incident with Spider-Man.
What, man?
How the f*** has America not run into another Spider-Man already? We're going to find out she's been to 72 different universes or some later in the movie, so chances are you'd have run into that John Mulaney one by now.
How is this even a real question? She's been to 72 universes, so she has to have run into Spider-Man? Discounting the fact that it's more possible than not that Spider-Man doesn't even exist in the 72 out of infinite universes she's been to, maybe those universes' versions are a different bug. Maybe it's not a bug at all. And on top of that, how many of you viewers have run into LeBron James? Almost none of you, right? And he obviously exists in our universe. See my point? One universe is huge enough by itself that it's likely you don't run into one person even if you spent your entire life there. You can live your entire life in Los Angeles and still not run into LeBron.
Climbs walls, shoots webs.
Yeah, bingo.
Out of his butt?
Why would this be your default assumption?
Because spiders produce webs out of their butts? No, seriously, the only reason you don't assume Spider-Man shoots webs out of his ass is because you are familiar with the character. Place yourself in the shoes of someone that has never heard of him, and this not only makes sense, it's the only logical conclusion. Why the f*** does Spider-Man shoot webs from his wrists and not his butt like a spider does? There is no logical answer to that question outside of it might look silly.
That wasn't a dream.
Prove it.
So either that portal conveniently landed America and her Strange on top of this building, or she decided to drag his dead ass all the way up to the roof?
It's almost certainly the former, and in that case, why is that a sin? What about this is convenient? It's on the top of a roof, nowhere near where they were in the diner a second ago, meaning this location is slightly inconvenient for them, actually. And I say slightly because they can portal and Strange can fly, but you know what I mean.
Frames a windows into the lives of our multiversal selves.
Oh, the f***.
That's an extremely simple explanation for a relatively complex concept. It's hilarious that you don't get it.
Chocolate!
Previously on WandaVision. What's WandaVision? Oh, it's just a 6-hour TV show that you need to have watched so you can fully appreciate what's happening in this movie while it sets about making it completely redundant.
That was a lot of BS and a lot of words. This is not one of those instances where you can books don't matter this shit away. The MCU is interconnected, and they have established that fact over the past 14 years at this point. An entire child was born and is now entering high school in the span of time from the first Iron Man movie till now. If you are missing MCU shows and films for one reason or another, you cannot blame anyone but yourself for being lost if you then attempt to jump back in at a later point. And WandaVision was not made redundant by this film. It set up Infinity Gemless Vision, Agatha Harkness, Spectrum, and the Darkhold.
I made mistakes, and people were hurt.
All true, but the main thing is that you've learned from those mistakes and are ready to move on. There's no way this movie would undo an entire season of character growth in 90 minutes, right? Right?
Again, you've missed the point. Wanda is under the influence of the Darkhold. I mean, it's in the name. The Darkhold. That's one of the major plot points of this film, that whoever uses the Darkhold will be corrupted in some way. The very end of WandaVision shows her using the Darkhold.
You're familiar with the Darkhold?
I know it's the book of the damned, and that it corrupts everything and everyone that it touches.
And we're expected to buy that the discount Book of the Dead is solely to blame for making Wanda evil. This means the movie can make her do as many f***ed up things as it pleases, and we don't have to care because it's not really Wanda doing it.
Well, yeah. And frankly, I find this sin highly aggravating. If you understand that it's not really Wanda doing all this, then why did you say this undoes WandaVision? Less than 5 minutes in, and this is starting to be one of your worst videos.
I'm going to leave this reality and go to one where I can be with my children. Is it the one you used when you gave Thanos the Time Stone?
Evil Martha Marcy May Marlene has a point. In Infinity War, we sort of gave Strange a pass for handing the Time Stone to Thanos because, hey, after all, he looked at 14 million different futures and it was the only scenario that came back positive. But seeing the shit that's come after that, I feel like 14 million possibilities actually weren't enough.
100% agreed. I actually made an entire video around this that I'm going to plug here while I remove a sin for CinemaSins finally being on the ball for once. He bullheadedly does what he wants to. That's the arrogance we talked about earlier. And as Yoda once told us, arrogance leads to overconfidence. Overconfidence leads to not giving Anakin the rank of master. Not giving the boy the rank of master leads to suffering. You're right, Yoda, but that's not what I was getting at.
Rewrite reality as she chooses, and it's prophesized to either rule or annihilate the cosmos.
So this is definitely something we should be worried about then? Like something that might bring Spider-Man or Falcon or Ant-Man into the fray? No? Well, all right then.
Jeremy asks for another character and or Avengers to help in a solo movie cliche.
Sending those creatures after her instead of myself was mercy.
What would you have done differently that would not have been mercy, since you have to kill America anyway?
This?
That even now, what's about to happen? This is me being reasonable.
I think this is supposed to make us believe that Wanda is deliberately neutering her powers to some degree, instead of tearing apart the fabric of reality to get to America, as we all know an evil Scarlet Witch absolutely could, should, and would.
No, I don't think we all knew that. You know why? Because an evil Scarlet Witch is unstable and cannot control her powers. In other words, Jeremy doesn't know shit about comics.
So that's it for Wanda, then? She straight up cremated a bunch of sorcerers here, and much as I'd love to see the attempt, I don't see how season 2 of WandaVision is going to bring her back from that.
Well, she does self-sacrifice in this film. Now, we all know they're most likely bringing her back in some fashion, considering this is literally a movie about the multiverse, and there is literally another Wanda in this film that didn't do this. I'm just saying.
Reflections.
She's using the reflections.
She's what? She's f***ing what? What does that even mean? So because you trapped her in a hall of mirrors, she's able to things?
They show you what he means by reflections, Jeremy. Jesus. This man seriously has an aneurysm anytime a movie contains magic. It's hilarious.
Wanda, you have no children. They don't exist.
Oh, but they do. In every other universe.
In every other universe? I thought the idea of a multiverse was that every possible outcome to every decision possible exists somewhere. Shouldn't there be countless universes with countless Wandas all pissed off and trying for the same thing?
Sure. But we're only watching this one because this one has America Chavez. You know, the character that there is no multiversal variant for, as explained in this movie.
As America and Strange tumble through the multiverses, I'm not convinced the movie fully understands the implications of showing this animated one. I mean, we may never see that universe again, but now we all know it exists. What the hell does that even mean? Why would an artistic medium from our universe exist as its own distinct universe?
Do you hear yourself? Not even 5 sins ago, you distinctly said this.
I thought the idea of a multiverse was that every possible outcome to every decision possible exists somewhere. Shouldn't there be countless universes with countless Wandas all pissed off and trying for the same thing?
That's you clearly understanding that anything is possible in the multiverse, yet you're still asking this question? And what do you mean by our universe? The one you and I currently exist in, or the one they exist in? Because the former is obviously stupid, and the latter is less obviously, but still no less stupid, so I'll explain. They exist in a movie. Movies are our artistic medium here in the real world. They also have movies in their fictional world. You get where I'm going with this?
This universe doesn't have a me.
But how do you know that?
Because I've looked, and because I never dream.
A lot of people can't even remember their dreams. Why is this a measuring stick? And you can't
Let me stop you right there, because you're ignoring the information the filmmakers planted in this movie to make cheap and incorrect points. They flat out told you that dreams are insight to their multiversal selves. Right now, they're telling you this character hasn't run into themselves, nor do they dream. We also have zero evidence of other Wandas going apeshit trying to find another America, something you mentioned earlier. All of that should have prevented you from writing this sin.
Food's free in most universes, actually.
Hey, you didn't pay for that.
How the f*** did 838 Ash not know that America had walked off with a pizza bowl without paying for it? Does he just have a bunch of pizza bowls?
Like he'll stop in a few minutes?
About 3 weeks.
The guy asked America to pay for her pizza balls, and because he insulted you a little bit, you cursed him to punch himself for 3 weeks, which is going to put this vendor out of business. I'm glad you think this is hilarious.
Strange is an asshole. This was established in his first movie. Sinning characterization.
Memory lane. Replay your significant memories.
This really isn't how memories work. Each time we recall something.
Stop. We are not talking about reality. This is how it works in this movie. Let's move on.
Why does a portal open up behind America's parents and in front of America in this memory? But every other portal that's open in this movie has opened behind America. Convenient superhero loses their parents storyline is convenient.
That didn't even make sense. Besides, the portal opens behind her when she instinctively wants to run away. It'll open in front of her when she wants to send something that's frightening her away. The bee was on her hand, which is in front of her. This is precisely why she feels responsible for killing her parents, because she knows she opened that portal to kill that bee. You have no basis for suggesting the portal's only open behind her, because you're basing it off of 2 out of 3 instances that it was shown.
A dream-walking sorcerer projects their own consciousness from their universe into another. They may puppeteer this unholy doppelganger and pursue their enemies from afar.
You know, just in case their enemies can travel between multiverses. Tale as old as time.
I know, right? It's almost like the Darkhold is an ancient instruction book for how to do something like that.
So it may not be a demon that you face. It may be the Scarlet Witch.
The dreamwalking explanation is a little confusing, because Mordo talks about the Scarlet Witch possessing demons in other universes. That tracks, since we've seen 2 demons attacking America in this movie. But the movie's ultimate rule is that the dreamwalker can only possess the alternate versions of themselves. So how is she possessing demons, or even conjuring them? Why isn't there a spell where she can just go to another universe by herself?
And we have arrived at the section of the Sins video where CinemaSins receives the rules on magic they always ask about, yet conjures up a reason to send them anyway. What makes this funny is that he thinks the dream walking is the conjuring of the monsters, discounting the fact that Wanda explicitly stated she went another route as a form of mercy. Her possessing Earth 838 Wanda is her not showing that mercy. See how paying attention would answer these questions? I'm talking to you, silly film YouTuber that talks about plot holes and how woke the MCU is.
What do you know of the Book of Ashanti?
It can give a sorcerer whatever power they need to vanquish their enemy.
Seriously, if you're not even going to try to describe it in a way that doesn't seem immensely f***ing convenient, just call it MacGuffin's Big Book of Sorcerer MacGuffinry by M.M. MacGuffin and just own that.
MacGuffins are not sins. They are damn near ubiquitous and sometimes necessary to move a plot forward. How many movies can you name without a MacGuffin? This is like sinning a film for having close-ups. You think recognizing and naming the parts of a film counts as a sin. No, you must explain why they are sinful.
Irony.
Same thing as the last sin. Why is irony sinful? You ever going to explain this shit, or do you enjoy the ambiguity of not having to explain yourself so that your dumbass fanboys get to continue saying you're only joking?
The Darkhold wants a copy!
Wong giving in here is a massive you to the dozens of sorcerers who have already died in the attempt to stop Wanda. Isn't the whole point to put their lives on the line and make sure she can't up the multiverse?
Being responsible for the deaths of your friends, especially through inaction, weighs heavily on people, or so I'm told.
Our universe is 838, and we've designated yours 616.
I'm not going to pretend I didn't have to go to the internet for this one, but outright saying that the MCU takes place on Earth 616 is such an odd choice. That makes it the same universe that the most well-established Marvel comics are set in, instead of making it its own distinct universe, which would have been the perfect way to maybe satisfy some fans who wonder why so many events play out differently compared to the comics they love.
Have to remove another sin here. This is probably the dumbest thing in this entire movie. This is Earth 199999, and calling it 616 in universe is the stupidest thing you could do, because they think this pleases comic fans. No, this infuriates us. T'Challa isn't married to Storm. You killed off Tony Stark. Civil War happened because of the now defunct Sokovia Accords and didn't include the X-Men. If this is 616, why did Stark create Ultron instead of him? Why is Namor Mesoamerican? Who the f*** is Ralph Boner?
You couldn't portal us up there?
My magic can only take us so far. Masters of the mystic arts weren't meant to tread upon the forbidden grounds of Wondercore.
No, but they sure as take you right to their doorstep, so what's the f***ing difference?
About 800 meters?
Here, Carl?
Why the f*** was that necessary?
To get his attention? Shut him up? Confirm that the what-if character is canon?
Captain Carter, Blackagar Boltagun, Captain Marvel, Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, Professor Charles Xavier.
I can still hear the cheers in the theater, but I honestly think this scene will come to be seen as the worst Christmas ever. Imagine you get every single present on your list, even the limited edition ones, the ones that no one else liked, or the ones that were murdered by Fonka Johnson and resurrected by Bryan Singer. All of them. You get to play with them for a while, but the next day your parents hide all the presents in the basement and don't tell you when you're next able to play with them. Then, instead of hiding all the presents in the basement, the parents burn them all in front of their sobbing kids.
Oh, so you're on that side of the argument, eh? You know, the one with ridiculous people on the internet criticizing this movie for killing off these characters, completely oblivious to the fact that this movie deals with the multiverse. It literally confirms the existence of these characters in the MCU and lets you know they're coming. Earth 199999's version of these characters were not killed. I'm just going to go off script here and go on a little tangent. This shit is ridiculous for a lot of reasons. Mainly because they literally show you Thanos in this movie. You know, the other movie we saw Thanos in? Infinity War. Are there two Thanos? Oh, mind blown, right? You people are ridiculous, sitting here saying, oh, this movie sucks because they killed the Fantastic Four, and they killed the X-Men leader, and they killed the... Shut the fuck up. Seriously. Dude, it's a multiverse movie. They're literally saying there are multiple versions of these characters, you fucking idiot. They also killed Thanos. We saw a whole nother movie where they killed Thanos a whole different way. Do you get it?
I'm sure Black Bolt's need for silence is a big part of his character, but shouldn't it be Reed Richards who desires this to be a quiet place?
Your alternate self created the Illuminati to make difficult decisions that no one else could.
So the Illuminati was created to prevent threats to the multiverse, but how the hell are they achieving that if there are only 6 of them, 5 of whom are largely based on Earth? No one behind this movie seems to be comprehending how big one universe is.
You're talking about Reed Richards and Professor Xavier here. Just those two alone have the resources and intelligence to monitor for threats in the universe. Hell, since mutants are confirmed to exist, that means Cerebro exists, and with some Mr. Fantastic technology amping Cerebro, this isn't as far-fetched as one might think. The X-Men are already a universal capable fighting force. Then you literally have Captain Marvel on the team. We've already been shown in the main universe that she's capable of scouring the universe for threats. Black Bolt existing means the Inhumans exist, which means he has his entire kingdom at his disposal. The only one that's street level here is Captain Captain Carter.
In hopes that our salvation might lie in the multiverse.
And guess what? It didn't.
Wait, what? Okay, maybe he didn't find the answer, but the solution absolutely exists in the multiverse, because this Strange found that bullshit 1 in a 14 million chance. Also, back in Infinity War, when Doctor Strange was running all those calculations, did crossing multiverses not pop up as one of the possible options? Was that not better than losing half the universe for 5 years?
Renounced the Darkhold's evil and helped us find the Book of Vishanti, a weapon we did use together to defeat Thanos.
Wait, Strange searched the multiverse for an answer before exploring the idea of using an artifact from his own universe that he definitely knew about?
There is only one Book of Vishanti, and it exists in the space between the universes. Why are you not watching the movie that you're watching?
Haven't you had enough? Oh, I could do this all day.
Come on, you're sending that line in this scene? Judas.
To be clear, we're now making the choice to create a movie where magic and sorcery exist, but then literally handcuffing the two most powerful sorcerers alive so they have to resort to a fist fight instead of all the awesome magic.
I will answer your questions, but you must first transform back to Jennifer.
Why?
You are very expensive.
Oh, sure.
But wait until the camera is off you. The visual effects team has moved on to another project.
Okay.
There, do it now.
Better?
Thank you.
Wanda Maximoff, your mind is being held hostage by your alternate self.
Oh, is that what this white void is with the blown out building and rebar everywhere? I know we're creating physical objects to represent abstract concepts. I just thought it would look cooler in a witch's brain.
And this is why you should have watched WandaVision. This represents Wanda and Pietro's home being destroyed by Stark's weapons, something they show in the TV show.
Champion, this is specific to me, something only I would know.
Specific to a you that has been raised and lived in a different universe and could have had any number of different... You know what? As tempting as it is to make this video a two-parter, I'm just going to add 100 sins here for all the ways this movie wants to play in a multiverse without being limited by what that actually means.
It's incredible to me that this man sat here and said anything was possible in the multiverse, but is upset by the way in which this film's plot takes place because he doesn't think this is possible. That's a level of cognitive dissonance so large, Elon Musk wants to buy it.
Oh, no. Oh, crap.
Look, Wanda seems to be able to pick whatever universe she wants, so count yourself lucky that you aren't floating in space, living as paint, or part of the DCEU.
What's wrong with being a part of the DCEU in 2022? They're sitting pretty right now with Black Adam, the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, hell, even Superman came back. This insult only worked in 2016 when there were only 3 movies and 2 of them were shit.
America doesn't have long.
Wait, the character or the United States?
It's stupid shit like this why this video is over 27 minutes.
While I'm under, I needed to protect my body in case they attack me for trespassing.
Who's they?
The souls of the damned.
How the f does he know that's going to happen when he just heard about dreamwalking like an hour ago?
Because he has the Darkhold. He literally read it in the book. See? The books matter.
Stephen Strange! Possessing a dead body is forbidden!
So that's where you assholes draw the line?
Ridiculous, right? But not as ridiculous as that laugh.
I feel like the first draft of this movie went to Marvel and they said, we like it, but it needs more Raimi. And then Raimi was like, well, I'm flattered, but I think I've injected about as much Raimi into this as I can without breaking some MCU fundamentals. And then Marvel was like, look, buddy, if you don't get your ass back in there and give us a scene where Strange possesses his own dead body and flies into battle with a cape made of damned spirits from the underworld or some shit, so help us, Feige, we will give this gig to Edgar f***ing Wright.
As evidenced by the sin removal right after this, Jeremy sends something he likes cliche.
Oh, holy shit, he's using a whole bunch of demons as a flying cloak.
See?
Scarlet Witch throws her red energy at Zombie Strange and the demons suck it all up, which is f***ing rad. I'd remove a sin for this if I understood why they were able to do this rather than just get demolished trying it.
So what you're saying is you would prefer the film pause to explain how these spirits are able to do something rather than simply being shown they can? Have I got that right?
Why does America's Star White Punch open up a portal behind Scarlet Witch but doesn't suck her into a new universe? Every single portal has been a Hoover vacuum into a new universe. It's the chief reason why America thoughtlessly killed her parents when that bee stung her.
It's almost like the Scarlet Witch is an immensely powerful being who is currently amped with the powers of the Darkhold and America's mothers were not.
And because Wanda has been shown the ghost of Christmas multiverse, she will now suddenly see the light and stop her crusade. But multiple characters have raised this exact point, that it isn't fair to take the place of a Wanda that already has kids. I was willing to buy her ignoring that logic because of the Darkhold being all evil and but the fact that she's listening to reason now makes me wonder why the Darkhold's influence has suddenly stopped, or how much impact it was even having in the first place. I am stunned at how systematically this movie has mangled any reason we could possibly still find a way to root for Wanda.
You've misunderstood the scene. Wanda's quest stops here because she's scared her only motivation for doing all this in the first place. Her kids. She saw her kids run from her like she was a monster, and that is what snapped her out of confusion.
So she destroyed the Darkhold in every universe.
How the f did she do that?
By destroying the source of the copy. You know what? Never mind.